So I have my hair already plaited. Alright, this is not the hairstyle that I'm going for, though it is interesting. I've used 2 plaits, and you can see I've twisted the ends of my hair around and secured them with little bobby pins. This is because what I need is hair that is wavy. So I did this with wet hair, and it won't give you the exact look of Lagertha's hair, which I'm reasonably sure from the consistent nature of her waves was done with some kind of heat tool, and I haven't left mine in long enough. I only prepared this a few hours ago. Ideally you would want to leave it in overnight. You can see the ends are quite nice, gives you almost a curled effect, and it will give my hair a little bit of body. I'm not going to brush out the waves because I want them to be quite smooth. At the end you can always put some oil through them, and you don't need to worry so much about this top bit of your hair because we're going to put all of the braids in this bit. The first thing I'm going to do is section off some hair for the French braids on the side of my head. Now, Lagertha, when you are looking at her in pictures, has these on the right side of the picture, which will then be the left side of her head. So that's what I'm going to do. My instinct always ends up with these the wrong way round because I look at it and go, that's the right. Put them on the right hand side of my head. So I'm just going to section off from approximately where your hairline starts to go back, and then from the top of the ear, and create a square, and then everything apart from that I'm going to very loosely, so that I don't lose all of these lovely waves, put a clip in it. I'm actually going to use 2. I really like the easy twist buns. Can't remember what they're called. I'll put it in the description below if I remember. So what I'm now going to do is take this horizontally. Now you want the same amount of distance ideally, but most importantly you want the same amount of hair. And that may mean you have to mess with the distance a little bit, because this top bit's automatically going to have less hair because it starts further back. It might have to be a tiny bit thicker, at least at the start. Okay. Now I'm going to pull the top bit over, give it a quick twist around this bun to secure it. Now I'm going to French braid this section. Okay. Now I like to French braid like this with my hair over my shoulder so it's slightly backwards, and my arms one above my head and one down. I'm starting with very, very small strands of hair, and I am using an overhand French braid and adding in very small sections. So this can be quite time consuming. It is something that is, even for me, someone who's very used to doing their hair without a mirror, very difficult to do without a mirror. And I suggest putting some music or something to occupy you on while you do it. It's a little bit fiddly, but I'm going to do this with this one, plait it all the way to the end, and then I'm going to plait the other section the same all the way to the end. So I'll French plait to the end of my sectioning, and then I will continue the plait for the rest of my hair length. And then I will be back. Okay, so now I have 2 very small French braids with these, again, very small, normal English 3-strand braids at the end of them, and I have all of this hair. On its own, plenty of people wear this style. It's quite popular, but what I'm going to do is add in Lagertha's braids on top. So what we want to do is a braid that goes across and one that goes around that way. Both of them will be lace braids, so that we will hide the back parting of it with the hair, so it will look like all one continuous part. So I'm going to find where I want those to change over, and they will be about the same thickness. Now, I'm not going to section my hair for this. I am just going to take a bit of hair and again with a 3-strand overhand braid, start lace braiding quite loosely, because what you really want is a braid that's got a bit of volume to it. And the way to do volume is to be able to push the braid back up a little bit. So what I'm doing is I'm using quite small braids. We're going to do quite a few of them. And again, making sure that the braid goes behind the back edge of the sections. And then when I get to here, just taking a little bit of hair from back behind that section to allow for an easy curve in the braid. If you just suddenly stop the braid, it will go straight down here, and we want it to come back a little bit just for ease of adding the braids together later. Plait all the way to the end of your hair. So I've got one lace braid that I can use to make a little poof just by doing that, and it's very easy to pin like that. And I'm going to do another one. This one will be less poofy because it's on the side and she has less poof on the side. But I'm going to do another lace braid that's going to take up some of the hair from this part of the head and a tiny bit from behind the ear, which will help prevent the hair from coming in front of the ear. When you're moving about, just gives you a little bit more of a controlled style. So for Lagertha, I imagine that would be if she was going into battle or riding a horse. For me, it's more about if I'm running around, or this kind of style I might wear to go out. If I'm dancing, it's the kind of style that works very well for dancing because it looks very impressive, but it's not really going to go anywhere. And you can wake up the next day and you can wear it the next day and still look decent, depending on how much dancing you did the night before, obviously. Okay, what I'm going to do now is take the section behind my top lace braid. So I'm going to make sure that it goes all the way over to the hair that is in those plaits. You get all of that. Take a section carefully so I don't pull hair out of what I've already done. Going all the way over. This is a decent chunk. We're not going to plait all of it together. I'm going to split it into 3, as if you were going to do one big braid. Make sure the sections are even. I think my middle section's a bit too big. There we go. And then I'm going to move that one forwards. I'm going to put this one in my mouth and I'm going to plait this one, just to make life a little more interesting. Each of these 3 is going to be a normal 3-strand English braid. So I will speed up or cut and I will be back after I have done that. Okay, so I have 3 English braids at the top. So we have 3 English braids, 2 French braids and 2 lace braids. To start with, I'm going to take these 3 English braids, ensure there's no extra hair in them, and I'm going to do 4 turns. 1, 2, 3, 4. This gives us just enough to create a pattern, but not enough to bring it very far over our heads. I'm going to tuck this braid, the one that is on my left, it'll be your right, my left, under my little finger. I'm not going to be using that one now, so I'm going to use these 2. I'm going to take this lace braid, I'm going to bring them together, and I'm going to do a normal English braid. So I'm going to start off by putting the lace braid over the middle of this one, and then over again. Okay, and I'm just going to braid that to the bottom. When you've started this, you can actually let go of the other plait because it will hold itself in place. That's a trick that you can do. If you secure 2 strands of a 3-strand braid, or even 2 strands of a 5-strand braid sometimes, you don't have to secure the last strand. It will work on its own. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is keep plaiting until I can't go any further. So I've gone down below the line of my first hairband, and I'm just going to add another one. You can stop at the level of your highest hairband, just take that one out, put it in over the top of all of them, and then take the lower 2 out. If you'd prefer, I'm just going to leave all of my clear elastics in. If you want to be more historically accurate, actually you don't need to put any elastics in at all. You can simply backcomb the bottom of your hair. I don't like to backcomb my hair, so I've got those. Just make sure those are reasonably flat, and then picking up the 4th one here, you need to be reasonably careful, because if you pull too hard on this, you will pull all of this out of alignment. So get that into an alignment you like and be gentle with this strand. I'm going to add this one to it, and we're going to add the top of our French plaits. Again, try to make sure that the rest of your hair is out of the way. If you struggle with it, what you need to do is put it up in a ponytail, just so that you don't catch the bits. Okay, what we're going to do first is take the lace braid over the top of our sorry, not our lace braid. We're going to take our French braid over the top of our lace braid, and then put our English braid over the top of the middle strand, and do probably 2 more turns until we get to a stage where we're level with the braid from the lower French braid. Now work out where your angles are. So that one's going over. So what I need to do with this braid is go under this one and then over this one, and then this one can go over this one, okay, and under this one. This one goes under and over, over, under, and just keep going. So you're doing now a 4-stranded braid all the way to the bottom. Trick with a 4-strand braid like this, there's several different ways of doing it. One side goes under, over, the other side goes over, under. And this will create a pattern where one of the strands appears to be in the middle and the other strands appear to be around the outside. One thing I would say about this is frequently when I'm plaiting, I'll turn the braid over to make it easier when I get down past a certain level. It's quite important that you don't do that with this unless you are very, very careful to keep your strands in the right place, because it's very difficult to tell which side is supposed to start over and which side is supposed to start under. If you prefer, you can just use the weaving method for the 4-strand braid, or you can do a 4-strand box braid. I'm not going to go through how to do all of those different things. I will probably not do a braiding video. There are a lot of braiding videos on YouTube that are very, very good. I think they are better than anything I could do. If you are interested in things that I have used to learn new braids occasionally, I can link to other people's videos in the description box, or I can direct you to where you want to go. But generally, if you put the types of braid that you want to do into YouTube search box, you will come up with something. So you will end up with your braids running out at different stages. That's always going to happen when you've got this many different starting points. So I'm just going to very slightly pull on my lace braid like that. And what you can also do is put a little pin in. The best place to put the pin is right here where my finger is. What you want to do is put it in so the first way the tip that's sticking up is upwards. Ooh, I don't know how to make that focus. And it goes in across like that through part of one of the strands, and then I tend to try and make sure I go behind it, turn the pin over and go back through the plait. That way you hide the pin very nicely and it's very secure, and you get this little poof. Okay, so another thing you can do is you can then bring these braids across, and you can either pin or sew them together. Okay, so you need a piece of string with a large needle. Ideally you would get a sort of children's cross stitch needle, which is plastic and thick and not sharp. This is a large household needle that is still sharp. It's less sharp than some, but it means I need to be careful. What I'm going to do is a slip knot in this end. So the way you do that is, this is thick enough that actually I can just let the needle drop. Cross it across like this. So this shorter end goes across the longer end, and then on the back side you just twist it up like this. Okay, so you make a loop, then this edge here comes through, and then you pull them like this, and then that's a slip knot. And then where you want to start your stitching, so I'm going to position my things. First off, I'm going to sew this to this plait here. What I'm going to do first is on the bottom side of the plait, I'm just going to thread it through. And I'm going to get this slip knot, put my needle through the slip knot and tighten everything up. Okay, and then I'm going to take it to the top of the plait. Now try and avoid using any string that is longer than your arm because it becomes very difficult. I'm going to use a very basic stitch. Now I'm using a not terribly exciting thread. If you wanted to add a little bit of pizzazz to your style, you could always use a gold or silver or brightly coloured thread. If you want to hide it completely, you want to make your thread match as well as possible. I'm managing to do neither. Just be gentle when you're sewing. Don't just pull hard if something appears stuck. Just wiggle it a little. Give it a little bit of coaxing. Especially where the end of the needle comes through, because you've got the doubled over thread. Okay, and now I'm to the part where I've got 2 plaits. Again, make sure the rest of your hair is out of the way, or you will end up sewing in random parts of hair. Okay, so I have finished stitching my plaits together. This is what they look like. So you can see some of those stitches, but to be honest, I think that adds to the look rather than takes away. I've secured the end by sewing through the plait, wrapping around, sewing through, wrapping around, over and over again. I am now removing the excess clear elastics. Again, if you want to, you can leave these in, and if you don't want to, you can take them out. So here is my finished style. It is Lagertha inspired, so I will give you a little bit of a twirl. And I hope you like it. Happy styling, everyone.